Montana's U.S. Senator Tim Sheehy was questioned by CNN's Kaitlin last night after $1 billion in Department of Energy funds were revoked for the Pacific Northwest Energy Hub amid the government shutdown. Funds were expected to be used for a hydrogen energy facility in St. Regis, Montana.
But on the projects, the Department of Energy just canceled $1 billion to the Pacific Northwest Hydrogen Hub. Part of that covers your state of Montana, and your governor actually praised it when it was happening, saying it was going to create good-paying Montana jobs and boost American-made energy. They just yanked $1 billion from that. So is that taking away good-paying jobs in Montana?
Of course it is. As I said, we want the government to be open. You should be saying this to Chuck Schumer, who's closing the government down. I'm agreeing we should have the government open right now. This is an unnecessary shutdown.
But that you're acknowledging that what the Trump administration just pulled in funding is hurting your state.
Having troops not being able to fulfill their functions, having law enforcement officers, having air traffic controllers not be able to direct flights into our airports in Montana hurts our state. Not having federal employees showing up to Farm Service Agency offices during cattle shipping season, that hurts our state. Not having Department of Transportation employees overseeing our highways, our bridges, our airways, our road construction efforts. All those things are hurting every state. So this shutdown is not a good thing, and that's why we don't want it to continue. That's why we voted. That's why we've now voted 8 times to reopen the government, and we've not been supported by our friends across the aisle.
Yeah, we pushed Democrats on their stance. We've had many of your colleagues on the show. But on this hub specifically, I mean, that is the Trump administration didn't have to make that decision. They decided to pull that $1 billion from your state. Do you disagree with that?
Well, I think the reality is we wouldn't be here if the government was still open. And now we're going on week 3 of a pretty unnecessary shutdown.
Well, actually, Chris Wright, the energy secretary, I asked him about that project specifically, and he said they would have done that even if the government wasn't shut down, that was months in the making even before the government shut down.
Well, it's unfortunate we're still shut down. We shouldn't be.
NBC Montana reached out to Sheehy for additional comments, and a spokesperson sent us this statement saying Sheehy champions common sense policies and is proud to work alongside President Trump and the Montana delegation to make America energy dominant. He wraps up by blaming Senator Chuck Schumer for the government shutdown.